You guys love Ben Franklin videos. They're one of the best ways for you to improve listening comprehension and learn tricks to sound more natural when speaking English, like using specific reductions. This January, you're getting 5 all-new Ben Franklin videos where we do a full analysis of real American English conversations. Today's topic, reading headlines. Let's get started with this analysis. First, the whole conversation.
I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people is I'll be like, oh, I read about,
Yeah.
but I didn't actually read the actual thing.
Actual about.
I read the headline or I read the one sentence blurb that Facebook posts with the headline.
So that
Now, the analysis. In this little clip of conversation, my friend Laura and I are talking about how we're in this bad habit of not actually reading articles. We'll just read headlines and the 1-second summary, and then we'll talk about it. Oh, I read about blah, 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 even though we didn't actually read the article. Are you guilty of that too?
I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people.
Okay, this is a really long thought group, and I'm speaking pretty quickly. But even though I am still making some words longer. They're being brought out with a little bit more length, but also a little bit more volume, and they'll be a little higher in pitch. They'll have, this shape. Let's try to identify what they are.
I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people. I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people. I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people.
I feel like that's a lot. Let's just start there. I feel like that's a lot of the. Feel and lot are a little bit longer, and they have the peak of the volume and of the pitch of the stress. Let's listen to that little sentence part, that little sentence fragment again.
I feel like that's a lot of the. I feel like that's a lot of the. I feel like that's a lot of the.
I feel like that's a lot of the. I feel like that's a lot of the. So even though we speak quickly in American English, we still have longer syllables, and that is really important for clarity with American English. I've had some students who know that Americans speak quickly and they want to do that too, but it feels way too rushed. And the reason why is because it doesn't have these longer words or syllables within the faster syllables. We have to have the long ones too. I feel like that's a lot of that. Okay, let's listen to a little bit more and see what else do we hear as being a little bit longer, a little bit more stressed.
I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people.
Conversations that I have with people. Converse. So this syllable is a little bit more stressed, a little bit longer. Conversations that I have with people. Have is more stressed here, a little longer.
The conversations that I have with people. The conversations that I have with people. The conversations that I have with people is I'll be like, oh, I read about.
Yeah.
Conversations that I have with people is I'll be like, oh, I read about. So those are, for me, the longest, most clear syllables, and a lot of the other syllables are said really quickly. Are there any reductions? Let's go back and see.
I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people. I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people. I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people.
Let's look at the first sentence fragment. What's happening? So this is not a reduction, but it's a link. When we're putting two words together, when one word ends with the same sound that the next word begins with, we don't say feel like, but we say feel like. We connect them with a single L. I feel like that's a lot of the.
I feel like that's a lot of the.
Another thing, so we have the linked L here. Another thing I'm noticing is how high the intonation is here. I feel, that's pretty high. And I guess I was just doing that because it's sort of funny. And so that brought more emotion and energy into the voice, which made the pitch even higher. Okay, so everything links together. I feel like that's K right into TH sound, TS cluster right into the schwa, tsa, that's a, that's a, that's a. Then we have a lot of the. Now, it's unclear to me. The word of would be fully pronounced this way. I definitely reduce it to the schwa. I'm not quite sure if I drop the V or not. It's said very quickly. You can definitely drop the V here. A lot of the, a lot of the. Then you just use the schwa to link lot and the. And the T here will become a flap T, just one single flap against the roof of the mouth, because it comes between two vowels. And the little 3-word phrase, a lot of, is very common. So practice it that way with me right now. A lotta, a lotta, a lotta, a lotta. Really smooth forward flow of sound.
It's a lot of the conversations that I have with people.
The conversations that I have with people. Okay, so the schwa of the going right into the C. There's no break here. The conversations that, the word that, I reduce that. The vowel has the schwa, conversations that I have with people. Okay, I'm doing something a little interesting here. Well, first, the Z sound of conversations linking into the TH. Conversations that, no stop and sound. So usually, most people would link this, but I don't. I don't link it with a flap T. I sort of re-emphasize. Why do I do that? Don't know. Doesn't matter. Usually we'll link things with a flap T when the next word begins with a vowel. We'll link that ending word. We'll link that ending sound, rather. When a word ends in a vowel or diphthong plus T and the next word begins with a vowel or diphthong, just like up here with lot of, we so often flap that T. Every once in a while we don't. I'm emphasizing I. By putting a little break, I'm emphasizing that. I have these conversations with the people.
That I have with people. That I have with people. That I have with people.
So even though I don't connect with a flap T, it's still pretty smooth. There's not a big break there. That I have with people. So I have. Have is more stressed, but I is also a little bit longer. That I have with people. That I have with people. Have with people. Have with people. These sounds are all connected. The V right into the W, the TH right into the P. No break here. People. This word can be tough for some people. People can be tough for people. Okay, so the pronunciation is P, the E as in she vowel in the stressed syllable, and then the dark L, pull, 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 in the unstressed syllable. A lot of people want to round their lips a little bit. They substitute that in for the dark L. Try to make sure your lips are relaxed for this sound. P, pull, ol. You want the back of the tongue to be doing the work for this sound.
People.
Is all be like. Okay, this is all pretty mumbled. IS, the word is, has a Z sound, so that links into the next sound. Is all be like. So the word I, the words I will contract to I'll, but it's hardly ever pronounced that way. It's almost always reduced to something like all, which sounds like ALL said quickly. All, is all be like. The word be said really quickly. It's almost like there isn't a vowel there. Is all be like. So this is all lower in pitch, a little flatter. It comes across pretty unclear. So we have sets of words like this, strings of words like this in American English that are less clear, certainly less fully pronounced. And that provides contrast with the clearer stressed syllables like I have. And that contrast is important in American English.
I'll be like, oh, I read about.
So here I'm slowing down. I'm speaking really clearly because I'm quoting myself. I'm not just talking. I'm saying something that I had said. When we say I'll be like is another way to say she said. So I'll be like is I'll say. Or if you're talking about a woman and you could say, and then she was like, no way. That would be the equivalent of saying, and then she said, no way. So we use the word like sometimes in storytelling as a substitute for said. I'll be like, I'll say, or I said, and she was like, is like saying, and she said. Oh, I read about. Okay, so more clear, longer words, ending D links into beginning schwa of about. Everything is nice and connected. I do a true T here. Again, I'm speaking more clearly. I'm not just talking, I'm quoting myself. So I have to make it seem different. And that's why it's all a little bit more clear than just normal conversation.
Is I'll be like, oh, I read about. Is I'll be like, oh, I read about. Is I'll be like, oh, I read about. Yeah. But I didn't actually read the actual thing.
But I didn't actually read. I put a little break here, separating thought groups, but I didn't actually read the actual thing. I do that for emphasis. It's funny. I'm talking about reading something, but I didn't read it. I just read one sentence about it. But I didn't actually read much longer, the most stressed word there, but I didn't actually read, but I. This is like I was saying before, usually when a word ends in a T and the sound before is a vowel or diphthong, and the next word begins with a vowel or diphthong, we flap that to make a smooth connection. But I. But I didn't actually. It sounds to me like I'm dropping the T. There's no sense of a stop here. Didn't actually. So the ending N is linking into the next vowel. Nah. Didn't actually. Actually. So this word can be 4 syllables, actually, or it can be 3, actually. I think 3 syllables is a little bit more common. It's a little easier. That's what I've done. Actually. In IPA, I would write it like this. Stress on the first syllable, actual. And then I would probably write that with the schwa, actually. The ending E links right into the next sound, the consonant R. Actually read. So everything is smoothly connected.
Didn't actually read the actual thing.
The actual thing. So I'm stressing this quite a bit. I've slowed down. The actual thing. Those 2 syllables have some stress. The word the, pronounced with the E vowel, we typically do that when the next word begins with a vowel or diphthong. Otherwise, we pronounce it as the schwa, the. But here it's the actual, and it links right into the next word, the actual thing.
The actual thing. About.
And as I'm saying that, Laura says, the actual about. I can't quite tell because I'm speaking at the same time, but I think she might be doing a schwa, the actual. That's pretty normal too. I mean, the rule is if the next word begins with a vowel or diphthong, you pronounce this E as the E vowel. But I've noticed Americans certainly don't always do this. The actual about. Actual about. Linking those 2 words together, about. The actual about. And then she puts a stop T at the end. She does not release that.
Actual about. I read the headline.
Okay, what are the 2 most stressed syllables there? I read the headline. So the words that are usually the ones that are stressed in a sentence are the nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. And they don't always have equal stress, but those are the words that are content words, that are usually the ones that are these longer, more clear words. So everything in this 4-word thought group is linked together, said very smoothly, always a forward motion of the voice, not choppy at all. I read the headline. I read the headline. The word the pronounced with the schwa, the next sound, is a consonant. We do pronounce the H in this word.
I read the headline. Or I read the one sentence blurb.
Or I read the one sentence. I put a little break here while I'm thinking of what word to say. The word or, this often reduces to I read. I don't reduce it here. Or, I read the, or. So the word or is the aw as in law sound followed by r when it's not reduced. But the aw sound really changes here. It's not aw, it becomes o, much more closed. The lips round further, the tongue pulls further back in the mouth. Or.
Or I read the one sentence.
Or I read the one sentence. Or I read the one sentence. Read and one get the most stress there. Everything is linked together. Let me spell out the word one here. This letter is a vowel, but the word, the sounds are this. In IPA. These are the sounds. So whenever we're talking about rules like with flap T's or this kind of thing, or the pronunciation of the word the, we're never talking about letters. We're always talking about sounds. So the beginning sound of this word is a consonant. That means the rule is this would be pronounced with a schwa, not an E vowel. The one, not the one, the one, the one. The one sentence.
The one sentence.
One sentence. Let's talk about this word for a second. Sentence. What's happening with that T? Sentence. I'm making it a stop T. The rule is when the T is in a sequence of T, schwa, N, that it's a stop T. And that's what I'm doing here. Sent. Stop the air really quickly. Just hold it for a second. Sentence. Sentence. Other words like this: mountain, kitten, fountain, curtain. I have a video where I go over this a little bit more in detail. You can search on YouTube Rachel's English Mountain, and it should come up. Sentence. One sentence.
One sentence, blurb that.
So now I say blurb that, and that's one thought group. I'm thinking of exactly what to say. Blurb that. So I might normally reduce the word that to the schwa, but I don't here because I'm thinking about what to say, so I'm speaking a little bit more slowly. Blurb that. So that keeps its full A vowel. It does have a stop T. Blurb that. So here we have an R, a B, a TH, 3 consonants in a row. Blurb that. I don't release the B. B is a stop consonant, just like T. The lips come together. That stops the air. And then they release. B. But we often don't release stop consonants in conversation, especially when the next sound is another consonant. So my lips come together. I make the B sound. Blurb. But then, rather than releasing, I go right into the TH sound. Blurb that. Blurb that. Blurb that. Blurb that.
Blurb that. Blurb that. Blurb that. Yeah.
That. Yeah. Laura says, yeah. Up, down shape of stress. She knows what I'm going to say. She agrees with me. She probably does it too.
Yeah. Facebook posts with the headline.
Facebook posts with the headline. Facebook posts with the headline. So more stress on face and head. Posts. This is a verb. And I said that nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs are the words that are usually stressed. But not all of them will be stressed every time. Facebook posts with the headline. That would be too much. So even content words are sometimes not stressed compared to the stressed words in a sentence. Facebook posts with the headline. So here we have STS. I do make all of those sounds. Posts, posts, posts.
Posts with the headline.
Facebook posts with the headline. With the headline. So I said before, when we have the same sound at the beginning and ending of a word that links together, two words that link together, that we make one sound. So with is usually pronounced with an unvoiced th. The is usually pronounced with a voiced th. When these two words come together, which happens pretty frequently, the unvoiced sound wins. It's stronger with the headline, with the headline, with the. So it's like taking the word with and just putting a schwa at the end. With a headline. Facebook posts with the headline.
It's with the headline. It's with the headline. It's with the headline.
The D sound in headline. D, just like T, just like B, is a stop consonant. Here it's followed by another consonant. And when stop consonants are followed by consonants, they're very often not released. So it's not headline, head, d. We don't release the tongue, headline. We say headline. So we put our tongue up into position for the D. We make a quick D sound, but rather than releasing, we go right into the L sound. Headline, 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 headline.
Headline, headline, headline.
Let's listen to the whole conversation one more time.
I feel like that's a lot of the conversations that I have with people is I'll be like, oh, I read about,
Yeah.
but I didn't actually read the actual thing.
Actual about.
I read the headline, or I read the one sentence blurb that
Yeah.
Facebook posts with the headline.
So that
That analysis is really fun and helpful, right? Click here to see other Ben Franklin videos on my YouTube channel. But if you're ready to go even further, even bigger, I challenge you this January to start the new year off right with a new commitment to your English studies. Join my online school, Rachel's English Academy. There you will find tons of Ben Franklin speech analysis videos just like this one that you can't get anywhere else. They're longer, they cover more conversation, and I add more each month. You have to have the interest. You have to make the time to watch the videos, to work with the audio. Can you do this? To help you get in the door, to help you get started, I'm offering a discount for the month of January. You can get the first month of the Academy for just $5. Use the code START2018 at checkout. The fee is normally $14 a month, which is a steal for what you get. Tools and support for self-study to make a real difference in how you sound. If you sign up and this method doesn't help you, no problem. Just email me within 30 days and you'll get a full refund. This is a subscription and you will be charged every month with continuous access to everything, but you can cancel at any time. Just email me and I will make that happen for you. So get this deal and in 2018, get the accent you want. More fluency, more ease in American conversation. If you want to see my absolute latest video, click here. If you're new to the channel, check out this Where to Start playlist. Click here to subscribe. I make new videos on American English every Tuesday. To be sure we can keep in touch, click here to sign up for my newsletter. You'll get free lessons in your inbox every week.